Hello, this is Beast 88, and this will be my first analysis video. So, if you like it, maybe give a like, subscribe. If there's something you think I can do better, please do tell me. But let's just get into it. So, Star Wars Jedi Academy is one of my favorite Star Wars games. Scratch that, it probably is my favorite Star Wars game. I think the lightsaber combat and story, I think they're better than Fallen Order even. But I'll explain all of that later. For now, let's just get into the game. So it opens up with character customization, which is pretty robust for 2003. There's different outfits to choose from, different torsos, different pants, different species to play as. Twi'leks, the thing that Greedo is, humans, and it's all pretty lore friendly, back before Disney owned it all because Luke didn't care what they wore at the Academy. You're then able to customize your lightsaber hilt and color, which pretty cool. And then the game finally opens up. It opens up with the, pretty classic text scroll, which lets you know the state of the galaxy 10 years after the battle on Endor. The New Republic is still battling Imperial remnants and warlords, while Luke Skywalker is still rebuilding a new Jedi Order. And that's where your character comes in. His name is Jaden, and you get to meet the biggest cunt in the entire game right here, Rosh, who is the other Padawan and sort of your friend. It really depends on, I guess, how you view his actions and his personality. So the ship that is taking you to Yavin 4, where the Jedi Temple is shot down. So you and Rosh have to make it to the temple by yourself for some reason. I don't know if I'm like retarded or if I didn't understand, but everyone else is still on the ship. And Luke Skywalker tells the captain to escort them to the temple. But you and Ross just like wake up a little ways away from the ship and you just go to the temple by yourself. But this is where you're finally set free and given control of your character, and you get to fight through some iguanas in this jungle section, and it also kind of teaches you, I guess, like the rules of the game a little bit. Like you can use your lightsaber and force powers to interact with the environment and certain objects. I do wish it was a bit more universal, like when you could cut like any tree down, but it's understandable why it isn't. This game did come out in 2003, almost what? It's 2021, like 17, 18 years ago. After finishing with the jungle section, you then come to a clearing and you find some stormtroopers there. And then Rosh, even though he literally has a blaster, tells you to go check him out by yourself because you have a lightsaber. I mean, like, for real? You can't even give me some covering fire. But after quickly dispatching him, you then have your first lightsaber fight. And my god, is the combat just so great in this game, especially compared to like the more recent Battlefronts and I guess kind of like the lack of Star Wars games. I just like how it's like one strike from a lightsaber is all it takes to kill each other. It's not this like, oh, he's got a fucking massive health bar, gonna have to hit him 8 times with a lightsaber that can cut through anything. You know, and I just hate it in games when people just eat lightsaber strikes. I like the realism aspect in this. And then after your first fight, you then see some weird people with a staff shining a beam at the temple on Yavin 4, and then a big blast of light knocks you out. And that's where you meet Kyle Katarn, your future master, and also the protagonist of the other Jedi Knight games. And you also meet Luke Skywalker, who Rosh kind of fanboys over, which, understandable, and it's nice to see him treated with some respect. Looking at you, Disney. Luke Skywalker then talks to all the new students and assigns them masters. But due to the lack of trained Jedi, every master gets 2 Padawans. And as I mentioned, you and Rosh are both Padawans under Kyle Katarn. You're then led through it to an obstacle course so they can test your skill, and also so the game can show how force powers work and how everything else works. And Kyle explains that as you grow in the force, you'll learn new powers, and that light side and dark side powers are allowed because abilities aren't evil. People are evil. But that makes sense in the context of the Star Wars universe. As Palpatine kind of said, you gotta understand both sides to really become a complete person. And it makes sense. Like, if I can use Sith lightning and take out a bunch of like stormtroopers, why wouldn't I? That seems a lot more efficient. And as you continue through the course, Rosh unleashes a training bot to attack you. Like, for real, dude, it ain't even a competition. This is literally just an obstacle course. And then, so once you finish that up, Kyle makes Rosh apologize to you. Well, kinda. Like, you get pretty upset with them, and then Kyle's like, hey, that's not what a Jedi would do. Like, all right, bro, thanks. But after that, you're then told that many people all across the galaxy ask for Jedi assistance. And that's what you'll be doing, helping people. That's kind of the bulk of the game. At least at first, it kind of deals with just like helping people around the galaxy. So every sort of like, there's like 5 missions like per batch that you get to choose from. You only have to do 4, but you can do all 5 if you want for the extra XP and just to kind of play. After doing 4, you'll be able to go on to the next big story mission. That's where kind of the main plot progresses. You're then shown the upgrade system. After a successful mission, you're able to upgrade your force powers. There are 4 light side and 4 dark side powers. For light side, there is force absorption, which makes you absorb dark force power. The second force power is a force heal, which heals you. There's also the mind trick, which is a Jedi mind trick, which gets to confuse humanoid opponents and weaker opponents. So it doesn't really work on a lightsaber wielder. There's also the force shield, which increases your protection against lightsabers, any forms of damage. And now into the, I think, much more exciting force abilities, the dark side powers. There is force drain, which takes life from an opponent and gives it to you. There is the force grip, which is the choke. You get to choke people with the force, like Darth Vader does, and all of them. There's lightning, which allows you to shoot lightning from your hand, and force rage, which takes health from you but increases your damage output. Along with those is the core force powers, and I guess what I'll call proficiencies. The core force powers are the basics, force speed, push, pull, sense, basic stuff every Jedi knows. And then the proficiencies are lightsaber offense, defense, and throw. So as you play the game, you automatically become better at them. And I love it because, this feature shows how you're growing as a Jedi. When you start out, you can't block every single laser that comes at you. You can't jump very high. So it just makes sense that you'd become better at those things. So after that, you're able to choose which of the 5 missions you want. So after finding parts for a chip, you get to help Chewbacca slaughter. You get to slaughter some sand people, disarm bombs. Just kind of help people around the galaxy. You're able to go to the next story mission. But a piece of the story I haven't really mentioned yet is that Luke mentioned the cult of Marcos Ragnos, who is a 5,000-year-old Sith Lord. The cult is working to kind of bring back, and the cult is the people who were shining the scepter at Yavin 4, and who were also in there. They're working with the Imperial remnants, and they're the main villains of this game. That also kind of explains why you get to face so many people who have lightsabers, because after the Battle of Endor, it's not like there's a bunch of Sith. So the cult of Marcos Ragnos is kind of giving people lightsabers and stuff. People are coming to them for power. And a cool little piece of immersion I found is that if you put your XP into dark side powers, Luke and Kyle will tell you, like, to watch my anger, like, don't fall to the dark side. They can sense it in you. And I think that's cool just because, like, if you were at the academy and you just started, using a lot of, like, angry force powers, they'd be like, calm down, you're a Jedi. So, but back to the story. So you're called back to the temple, and Luke Skywalker says that his personal info has been hacked, and they now know all the places he has found that are strong in the Force, and that the cult is stealing the Force from those places. So, like, they're literally like taking the Force energy out of them. So he sends everybody out to different locations to just kind of like try to stop them, see if they're there, and you're sent to Hoth. So now's a good place as any to talk about the UI, and it's pretty clean. It's not even cluttered, like, at all. So in the bottom left is your health and shield bar, and in the bottom right is your lightsaber stance and force energy, or your ammo count if you have a gun. I do like that you can use guns in this game. Not sure why anyone would use a gun, because you have a fucking kick-ass lightsaber. But more options doesn't hurt anybody. And there's also a mission where they take away your lightsaber and you're forced to only use guns. So, I guess it does have a purpose. So when you land on Hoth, you can't sense any force energy. But you press on and eventually you find the old rebel base from episode 2, and the Imperial Remnant is there looking through the data. And they find out about Dagobah. And then you have your first boss battle with the red Twi'lek. Her name's Allura. And I love boss battles in these games because they kind of beef up the health bar a little bit, and they're a lot more skilled than the average, opponent. Especially in the beginning game, you've only faced like a few called like novices, so it's just kind of nice to face somebody more on your skill level. When I first played this game, I probably died to it. Probably died to her a lot. So after defeating Allura, you then go back to the Jedi Temple and tell Kyle and Luke about, what happened. So they go to investigate, all of that was going on, and they tell you that Rosh is missing, but they can sense that he's still alive. So, I guess you just kind of have to assume that he was taken by the cult, and they give you a promotion to apprentice. So now Kyle doesn't have to escort you on all your missions. And you also get to pick a new fighting style, strong or fast, and they do exactly what they sound like, with a strong stance, that's much more for fighting other people who have lightsabers. You can kind of overpower them a little bit. Your core abilities are also leveled up, so you can jump higher, do better in lightsaber combat, have better defense, just some pretty cool shit. And then you're dumped right back to selecting missions. And as I play through these missions, I realized that the checkpoint system in this game, it just sucks so much ass. At least compared to modern video games. Like, it just seems like place where natural checkpoints should be just like do not exist. You'll play for like a good 20-25 minute period, die, and then you're taken like all the way back, like 30 minutes back. And it's like, I just did all that shit. I got to do it again. It's just kind of annoying. Like, I was doing a mission with hostage rescue. You have to rescue 16 people in groups of 4. So I rescued 12 out of the 16 and I'm killed. And it restarts me where I only rescued 4 of them. Like, why wouldn't there be a checkpoint save after I save one group? Especially because sometimes getting killed in this game, it just feels like they got lucky because you can't manually block. So it just feels like, sometimes it just feels like you didn't deserve to die. And that's when it's the most frustrating. So after completing some more missions, even a pretty fun and unique speeder bike like racing one, Luke Skywalker brings all the students back to the temples and talks to them. And he tells everyone that the cult of Ragnos has taken the Force from every spot mentioned from Luke's journal, and sends all students out with their masters to investigate more spots. You and Kyle are sent to Bajoon, the location of one of Darth Vader's castle. Pretty cool. And the gimmick with this mission is acid rain, so you have to always like be undercover, at least until you get inside the building. And they also introduce a new heavily armored jetpack enemy. They're pretty hard to kill unless you have Sith lightning, then they die after like 2 seconds. But that's pretty true for a lot of the enemies that don't have lightsabers. But still, I appreciate the enemy variety. So after continuing through the outpost surrounding the castle and just wrecking people, you come upon a door that leads to the laser control so you can shoot down ships, preventing you from going farther. And that's where you get introduced to a Cult of Ragnos new enemy, a heavily armored lightsaber wielder. You can take more punishment and is also more skilled. And that's also kind of how you can tell how skilled somebody in this game. It's just like how armored they are, and that also gives them more health. But even though they are more skilled, if you just get like 1, 2, or 3 like direct strikes on them, they're dead. But again, I appreciate that with the realism aspect. And same with you. I mean, you don't really have that much health. If they get like one good strike on you, like completely exposed, like you're dead. So after finally being able to continue, you're in the castle, so you don't have to deal with no more acid rain. And you have to go through the sewers and proceed farther through the sewers. And then Kyle tells you guys to split up. And I understand it's a video game, but like his last apprentice literally disappeared like 2 hours ago game time, if even that. And then he's just like, okay, well, let's split up. And then, like, I swear, like 10 seconds later, you find him again. So it's like, what was even the point of splitting up? Just like, follow me or I'll follow you. And in this mission in particular, there's a few puzzles which I haven't really talked about. There are puzzles in this game. They're pretty simple, but they're pretty fun. You can find out what you need to do pretty quick. I mean, I guess I don't know if I'm just saying that because I've played it so many times before. I'm sure it might give somebody trouble, but it's pretty easy. So as you press on through the castle, you find your old friend Rosh, and he's been turned to the dark side. What a surprise! And he talks about how he's much more powerful and how Kyle was holding them back, and he has two Force only goons with him. And I say Force only because there is an enemy in this game that doesn't use a lightsaber; they only use the Force. And like that, you can't get close to them. They push you back with Force push, and they choke you and stuff. So, but even then, like, I absolutely fucking destroyed him. Like, honestly, I don't even think he hit me once. But I'm guessing an old enemy from other Jedi Knight games comes in. I've never played him, Tavion, because based off the interaction she has with Kyle, and Kyle's like, I should have killed you. And she's like, well, you're weak. And Tavion saves me from, killing Rosh. And, they both live to fight another day. And she also destroys your lightsaber. So with that mission over, you head back to the academy and tell Luke what happens. You're then promoted to Jedi Knight and are able to build another lightsaber. But Kyle tells you to beware the dark side and that he sensed anger in me. But finally, one of like the cooler parts of the story at least is that you get access to the game's complete lightsaber customization. So you can have two-handed sabers, a dual saber, or just a standard hilt. And the trade-off with the dual and two-handed is that you can only use the medium fighting style. You only get one fighting style. So I'll be keeping my standard saber just because I prefer that. And I don't really like the look of the dual or the two-handed, but I like that they give you the option. And just like that, you're back to your standard missions, but they warn you that they'll be more challenging. And your lightsaber and core force abilities also go to the maximum level now. And as I play through these missions, this is really like a turning point in the game where you're now facing a lot more like lightsaber wielders. Before that, you would just face like a lot of regular enemies and just like some thugs or some random people. And now it's mostly just like Imperial Remnant and Ragnos cult members, which definitely adds more challenge and fun to the game because it gives an opportunity for the excellent lightsaber combat to shine. As I said at the beginning of this video, I believe it's better than Fallen Order, and I'll explain why. The main thing I dislike about Fallen Order's combat is just how weak your lightsaber appears to be. Like when you fight purge troopers in the game, I feel like your lightsaber should just like cut through some of it, or some people shouldn't like have shields. I know in the Star Wars universe there's material like Beskar that can stop lightsabers, but those materials are considered rare. And I guess I also dislike the lack of acrobatics, faster combat in the game, especially against like boss battles against other lightsabers users. It's like, why am I forced to just stay on like one plane of the ground and just block, parry, and attack? And it just seems like there's also a lack of creativity within the force powers. Like, this is literally like a 17, 18-year-old game and they have more force powers and verticality than the newest Star Wars game. And I just think that they could have done a lot more with it. But back to the lightsaber combat. So when you engage with lightsabers, you automatically block when they attack in front of you. So it's kind of all about using your force powers and jumping and just trying to like outmaneuver them and get open strikes on them. And then also, depending on the skill level of the enemy, you can also try to brute force them with like the heavy stance. Like, especially once you have all your core abilities leveled up and you face like a novice, the people you've been facing from the beginning, you just have to like hit them once with the heavy stance and like they can't even block it. Kind of makes you feel like that you're really progressing. And the next mission that I do, you get to battle Boba Fett. You can't kill him. He just kind of retreats or anything, but you still get to kick his ass. And it's a cool bit of fan service. And, Kyle's like, hey, I fought him too. Guess that makes us have something in common. And another mission, you also get to take down an Imperial dreadnought, which I'm only mentioning it because I think it's cool because it is only full of like Imperial troopers. No Jedi, not Jedi. No lightsaber wielders, and it just makes you realize how much better your lightsaber and force skills are than in the beginning of the game. Like in the beginning, you can't even block every laser. You have to use cover sometimes, but now it's like you're blocking everything that people are blasting at you. You have force powers, I got my lightning. I'm like frying hella people. Kind of makes you feel like a badass. So I guess this is now for the two like final missions in this game. So Luke Skywalker brings all the student back and tells them of the cult's plan to revive Marcos Ragnos with the Force. That's why they've been absorbing Force energy from all the location in Luke's journal. If they put enough Force energy in his body, he'll come back. Which I'm not sure how that would work. Like, would the midichlorians like revive him? Would they just like be enough? But I guess Luke said it'll work, so I'll trust him. So Luke tells like the entire academy to get ready to go to Korriban, but before that, Kyle has a talk with you, and he tells you that Ross sent a distress call, and that you two have to go. And you point out that it's probably a trap, but you both agree it's worth the risk at the least. So as you continue through yet another Imperial base with some parkour and other stuff, you find the red Twi'lek from the beginning of the game, Allura. And she talks about how much anger I have and how easy Rosh turns. So I guess he's here. So you finally find Rosh, and you start to get upset that he tried to kill you and that he lured you into a trap. He calls you his friend and he asks you for help. And you mention how he's always trying to be better than you. And then Kyle, the angel on your shoulder, uses the force to talk to you. And he tells you not to do it, while Allura, more the devil on your shoulder, tells you to kill him. So here is the only narrative decision in the game you actually get to make. Stay a Jedi or turn to the dark side. So, I do the right thing, obviously. I kill Raj, fuck Raj, man, since day one. I cannot stand him. So I'll do the dark side route first. So you kill Rosh, and Allura tells you to join her, and you can help us bring back Marcos Ragnos. But you say, why would I trade one master for another? So you're only out for yourself now. So you and Allura battle, you kill her, and then you also kill Rosh, and you head to Korriban. And Kyle's right behind you, and he comfort Rosh before he dies, calling him a Jedi. So you're on Korriban, and the Jedi's there sense the dark side in you. Not that you're really trying to hide it, and they all attack you. So you have no allies on this last mission. As you continue through the temple on Korriban, it's full of Ragnos cult members and Jedi's fighting. You can wipe them both out. You can try to run past them. And after about 30 minutes of killing Jedi's and cult members, you go to the Tomb of Ragnos and fight and kill Tavion, who rescued Rosh in the beginning from you. And then Kyle comes in right behind you, and you get to fight him, and you bury him in rubble, and you say that you're more powerful than any Jedi or the cult. You defeat him, you take the scepter the cult has been using to absorb force power, and go to a star destroyer above the planet. And you take the helm, and you're in charge. While on the planet, Luke finds Kyle, and Kyle tells him what happened. Kyle leaves to go find Jaden, and Luke says, "I still sense good in him." And that's the dark side in it. And honestly, it's awesome. I love how you become an Imperial warlord. I love how they make Rosh to be a super annoying cunt like the entire game. So you actually do have some motivation to kill him, or maybe if you're feeling to be like a better person, you might think, that's just his personality. Doesn't deserve to die. The only thing that would have made it better was giving me a red lightsaber. Like, come on, why not, man? But I guess let's kind of rewind and see what happens when you go through the good ending. It's kind of the same, except you have allies this time around. The Jedi fight with you, and it kind of ends like an average Star Wars game does. The good guys come out on top. Everything's not right in the galaxy, but it's a lot better than when it started, and everybody celebrates at the temple. But a Jedi's work is never done. So I find the dark side ending just vastly more interesting. Like I guess I just love how like you're just I don't know how to put it. I just find that much more interesting in how that's like a character arc. It's not like, oh, you're good, you know. And not to mention, I just find it interesting that that probably happened a lot in that kind of like sets up a sequel to where you'd play as like as a bad guy and Kyle would come after you or something like that. So I guess I'll just speak on some other topics. I don't really thought fit into my other talking points. I really like the soundtrack in this game. It's classical Star Wars. It just reminds me of the music from the originals. It's just really cool. It took me about 10 hours for a playthrough, but that's also because I already knew how to do all the puzzles and where to go. Um, I guess just like a quick review of this game, like it is still very much worth it. You can buy it for $10 on Steam. Um, a reason that this game is still talked about today is the very much alive modding scene, like Movies Battle 2, which many people still play. Um, like I honestly think it's just one of the best Star Wars games. Uh, I would really love a sequel. I think this game really deserves it, even if it is like 15, 16 years too late. Like I would just love to see this be remade, like even just like remastered a little bit, remade in a newer engine. I really wish Lucasfilm was still around, but you know, I guess I'm just always ready for another Star Wars game. So that was my first analysis. Pretty short, but tell me what you thought. Tell me what I can do better. If you're still listening, thank you. Like and subscribe. That's all I got.